You're unmuted, by the way.
Say it again?
We can hear some shuffling.
Oh, okay. I'll mute me.
Hare Krishna. Banu and Kanti, would you like to lead Kirtan? Okay. Would you like to lead Kirtan? Admin's iPhone, Natalia? Okay, I will go ahead. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Pariprajaka Stotra Sata Shri Srimati A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Jayādvaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kundagiri Govardhana Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamana Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Welcome everybody to Srimad Caitanya Caritamrita reading with His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami. It is Thursday, November 6th, 2025. And we're beginning with Caitanya Caritamrita, Adi Leela 17, 128. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva. Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Guru Maharaj, would you like to begin?
You can begin. I just have to sort out a couple of tech things. So if you would begin, then I'll try.
Yes. 128. Ara yadi kirtana karite laga paimu sarvasva dandiya tara jati ye la imu. Translation. The next time I see someone performing such sankirtana, I shall certainly chastise him by not only confiscating all his property, but also converting him into a Muslim. Purport. To convert a Hindu into a Muslim was an easy affair in those days. If a Muslim simply sprinkled water on the body of a Hindu, it was supposed that the Hindu had already become a Muslim. During the transition of the British in Bangladesh during the last Hindu-Muslim riots, many Hindus were converted into Muslims by having cow's flesh forcibly pushed into their mouths. Hindu society was so rigid at the time of Lord Caitanya that if a Hindu were converted into a Muslim, there was no chance of his being reformed. In this way, the Muslim population in India increased. None of the Muslims came from outside. Social customs somehow or other forced Hindus to become Muslims with no chance of returning to Hindu society. Emperor Aurangzeb also inaugurated a tax that Hindus had to pay because of their being Hindus. Thus, all the poor Hindus of the lower class voluntarily became Muslims to avoid the tax. In this way, the Muslim population in India increased. Chand Kazi threatened to convert the people into Muslims by the simple process of sprinkling water on their bodies. Anything there, Guru Maharaj or others? You're muted, Guru Maharaj.
Nothing to add just now. Just have to catch up. Okay, now I'm caught up.
Maharaj, it's like tiny bit.
Okay.
I found it a little interesting in the course of our debate the other day. One of us played a Muslim, and I actually found in their scripture they said, "Let there be no compulsion in religion." So I actually find it quite interesting that them forcing meat down the mouth of Hindus in that time, and some of these other things, even though it seems like it's not recommended. I do wonder how it is that people still find a way to even go against their scriptures to try to convert people.
Well, I can't say much about Islam because I haven't studied the Quran or the Hadith or any of their teachings in depth, so I'm not in a position to say much about it, except from what we get from our tradition, from Chaitanya Caritamrita, and from the pastimes here, and of course from what I've seen of Islam, mainly in the Middle East. Of course, in India also, where it's a different story. A lot of the my sort of passing observation is that Islam, like Judaism, tends to be tribal, and like many other religious organizations, tends to be tribal. That is to say, that it, much of it has to do with, well, I shouldn't even say that, but there's different social groups, and they're called Muslims in one place, and then another social group are called Muslims in another place, and they're very different. The Muslims in Pakistan are very different from the Muslims in Qatar or someplace like that. So you get different experiences of Islam according to the people and according to the place. So Prabhupada's pointing to that in this purport, that the Muslims in India were mostly Hindus who, because of caste pressure, found it more congenial to become Muslims. If you were an outcast in the Hindu system, you could become a Muslim, and you'd be freed from all the stigmas and restrictions of being low caste. Plus, you wouldn't have to pay the tax in those days. So in that way, the Hindus created. Now they're complaining about being overrun by Islam, or by Muslims. But Prabhupada points out here they created those Muslims by their strict caste policies. Hare Krishna.
Things in the chat. Saraswati Mashi, would you be able to read the things in the chat tonight? Beginning with Praveen Prabhu.
No, I'm probably going to have to leave in a bit for a medical appointment.
Okay, no problem. Praveen Prabhu writes, conversion is a concerning topic in the Hindutva groups in India now, a complete opposite of those times.
Yeah, I don't know that we can, how deeply we want to enter into all the comings and goings of these various social upheavals in India. It's sort of beyond our scope at the moment. But thank you. Hare Krishna.
We have another thing. Saraswati Machi writes, Pranams Parampuja Gurudev and all the Vaishnavas. My cousin's daughter married a Muslim and had to convert to that religion before their marriage ceremony, including changing her name. Her family ostracized her.
Well, this goes on all over the place. Jewish people marry Christians and get, Orthodox Jewish people marry Christians and get disowned. Christians marry something else and get disowned. Hindus marry somebody and get disowned. So this, or they don't. That's the other way. We don't care. We don't give any importance to it, or we give so much importance to it that if you cross the line, then you're out of the family. This is not unique to Islam or to Hinduism. And it's also common that, yes, if you want to marry, then you have to change. I'd seen something recently, a little bit of British history, and a member of the British royalty had to convert in order to marry. I forget which way they went, Catholic to Protestant or Protestant to Catholic, but the marriage couldn't take place without a conversion. So these things are always going on. And in one sense, all upadis. Hare Krishna. Or mainly upadis. Okay, maybe I'll read. Etavoli kaji gela nagariya lok Prabhustane Nivedila Para Bodhashok. After saying this, the Kaji returned home, and the devotees, greatly shocked that they were forbidden to chant Hare Krishna, submitted their grief to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabhu Agya Dilo Yaha Koroho Kirtan Mui Sangharimu Aji Shokala Yavon. Lord Chaitanya ordered, "Go perform Sankirtan. Today I shall kill all the Muslims." Purport: Gandhi is known for having started the movement of nonviolent civil disobedience in India. But about 500 years before him, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started his movement of nonviolent civil disobedience to the order of Chandkaji. It is not necessary to commit violence to stop the opposition from hindering a movement, for one can kill their demoniac behavior with reason and argument. Following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whenever there are obstacles, the Hare Krishna movement should kill the opposition with reason and argument, and thus stop their demoniac behavior. If we became violent in every case, it would be difficult for us to manage our affairs. We should therefore follow in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who disobeyed the order of Chandkaji, but subdued him with reason and argument. I think that's clear. Kare kiya shablok Koreye Kirtan Kajir Bhaye Swachchando Nahe Chamatkito Mon. Returning home, all the citizens began performing Sankirtan. But because of the order of the Kaji, they were not carefree, but always full of anxiety. Tasabhara antare Bhoy Prabhu Mane Jani Kohite Lagilo Loke Shigra Raki Ani. Understanding the anxiety within the people's minds, the Lord called them together and spoke to them as follows. Nogore Nogore Aji Korimu Kirtan Shonya Kale Koro Shobe Nagora Mondon. In the evening I shall perform Sankirtan in each and every town. Therefore, you should all decorate the city in the evening. Purport: At that time, Navadvip was composed of 9 small cities, so the words Nogore Nogore are significant. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to perform kirtan in each of these neighboring towns. He ordered the city decorated for the function. Sandhyate Deuti Shobe Jwala Gore Gore Deka Kon Kajiyashi More Mana Kore. In the evening, burn torchlights in every home. I shall give protection to everyone. Let us see what kind of Kaji comes to stop our kirtan. Eta kohi shonya kole chale gora roy kirtaner koilo prabhu tin sampradai. In the evening, Lord Gorsinder went out and formed 3 parties to perform kirtan. Purport: This is a scheme for performing kirtan in a procession. During Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, one party was composed of 21 men, 4 people playing mridangas, 1 leading the chanting, and 16 others striking kartals responding to the leading chant. If many men join the Sankirtan movement, they may follow in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and form different parties according to the time and the number of men available. 16 kartal players. We failed to offer obeisances. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Shaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastrati Deshatarvini Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo. Age Sampradaye Nritya Kore Haridas Madhye Nache Acharya Goshai Parama Ullas. In the front party danced Thakur Haridas, and in the middle party danced Advaita Acharya with great jubilation. Is there a copy of the blue book in the closet there? Pache Sampradaya Nritya Kore Gorachandra Kar Shange Nachi Bule Prabhu Nityananda. Lord Gaurasunder himself danced in the rear party, and Sri Nityananda Prabhu moved with Lord Chaitanya's dancing. Now this is the arrangement. Different parties of 21 men, and with the lead chanter, Prabhupada described in a letter that this is that the devotees could organize like that, this many kartals, this many mridangas, and Prabhupada said the most important thing is that all the members of the Kirtan party should be pure devotees. Yeah, in fact, we have a book, and I'll see if I can pick up the letter. Yeah. I want to form a Sankirtan party in which 2 members will play mridanga, 8 play the cymbals, 2 play on tambura, 1 harmonium. Besides that, there will be the leader of the party. And Prabhupada says, no, that's a different letter, actually. Oh yeah, there it is. 2 persons mridangas, 8 persons kartals, 1 person tambura, 1 playing melodious harmonium. The person who will play on tambura will be the leader singer. But all the members of the party will be pure devotees. Them should be outsiders. And that's what Prabhupada said. So here you see these illustrious devotees as leaders, Advaita Acharya and Haridas Thakur and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. Vrindavan Dasha Iha Chaitanya. Oh, there's a...
Yeah, just popped up from Praveen Prabhu. Okay. Yeah. Praveen Prabhu writes, in the Caitanya Bhagavat, some violence is mentioned by the protesters. Keha gara bange, keha bangena du yara, keha lati mare, keha kare Bhunkara. Some tore apart the rooms, some broke down the doors, some kicked the house, and some roared loudly.
Yes, we'll come to that in the narration here in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Some of the devotees got rowdy, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu peacefully engaged with the Kaji.
Gurumash, I just have a comment. Would someone like to volunteer to take over reading the chat? If so, you can message me.
Okay. Vrindavan Dasaiho Chaitanya Mongale Bishtori Varniyachain Prabhu Kripabole. By the grace of the Lord, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has elaborately described this incident in his Chaitanya Mangal, now Chaitanya Bhagavat. E mata kirtan kori nagare mila bromite shabhe kaji dware gela. Performing kirtan in this way, circumambulating through every nook and corner of the city, they finally reached the door of the Kaji. Tarja Garja Kore Lok Kore Kolahala Gouda Chandra Vole Loka Prashroy Pagol. So now here's the description. Murmuring in anger and making a roaring sound, the people under the protection of Lord Chaitanya became mad through such indulgence. And there'll be further description. Purport. The Kaji had issued an order not to perform kirtan, congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord. But when this was brought up to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he ordered civil disobedience to the Kaji's order. Lord Chaitanya and all his devotees, naturally enthusiastic, although agitated, must have made a great noise with their loud cries. So this is a crowd, and it's dangerous. The Kaji, as we'll see, became fearful. We see this when there's a big demonstration someplace, then things can get quite stirred up, even if it's a peaceful demonstration. Kirtaner dwanite kaji lukai lagore darjana garjana shuni na hoy bahire. The loud sound of the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra certainly made the Kaji very much afraid, and he hid himself within his room. Hearing the people thus protesting, murmuring in great anger, the Kaji would not come out of his home. Purport. The Kaji's order not to perform Sankirtan could stand only as long as there was no civil disobedience. Under the leadership of the Supreme Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the chanters, increasing in number, disobeyed the order of the Kaji. Thousands assembled together and formed parties, chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and making a tumultuous sound of protest. Thus, the Kaji was very much afraid, as naturally one should be under such circumstances. In the present day also, people all over the world may join together in the Krishna consciousness movement and protest against the present degraded governments of the world's godless societies, which are based on all kinds of sinful activities. Srimad Bhagavatam states that in the age of Kali, thieves, rogues, and fourth-class people who have neither education nor culture capture the seats of governments to exploit the citizens. This is a symptom of Kali Yuga that has already appeared. People cannot feel secure about their lives and property, yet the so-called governments continue, and government ministers get fat salaries, although they are unable to do anything good for society. The only remedy for such conditions is to enhance the Sankirtan movement under the banner of Krishna consciousness and protest against the sinful activities of all the world's governments. The Krishna consciousness movement is not a sentimental religious movement. It is a movement for the reformation of all the anomalies of human society. If people take to it seriously, discharging this duty scientifically, as ordered by Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, the world will see peace and prosperity instead of being confused and hopeless under useless governments. There are always rogues and thieves in human society, and as soon as a weak government is unable to execute its duties, these rogues and thieves come out to do their business. Thus the entire society becomes a hell unfit for gentlemen to live in. There is an immediate need for a good government, a government by the people with Krishna consciousness. Unless the masses of people become Krishna conscious, they cannot be good men. The Krishna consciousness movement that Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu started by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra still has its potency. Therefore, people should understand it seriously and scientifically and spread it all over the world. The Sankirtan movement started by Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu is described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhya Kanda, 23rd chapter, beginning with verse 240 to 241, which states, "My dear Lord, let my mind be fixed at your lotus feet." So, before we go on, Srila Prabhupada has a broad vision here, that it's not just a question of a religious group protesting, we want our rights, but it's a movement for the reformation of society in which we recognize that that the governments are degraded. They are promoting all sorts of sinful activities. They can't offer protection to people, even for their lives and property. And they act like thieves, dasyu prayeshu rajasu, just sucking the life out of the citizens and not returning real benefits. Prithu Maharaj, as we've been reading, taxed the citizens, but the citizens were all happy because in return they got peace, prosperity, security, everything. But the modern leaders of the world are not up to that standard. And so often they're thieves. We see this in foreign countries. It becomes obvious to us how the leaders are just thieves. We see this in third world countries. Someone gets into office and just, helps himself to whatever's in the treasury. But we sometimes don't recognize that in the first world, similar things are going on, just in a more sophisticated fashion. And perhaps on a grander scale, the money to be had from the large and prosperous Western countries is of course greater, and therefore the bigger thieves come out for that. Prize. In any case, Prabhupada's seeing that at some point the Krishna consciousness movement has to do something about this, just as the Brahmins did something about King Vena. Something must be done about these rogues who are pretending to be great leaders, but are in fact great cheaters and thieves. What these people are doing, if it became public, would be so shocking that people would, as I've said several times, just drag them out of their offices and shoot them. Interestingly, and I won't try to make a conclusion from it, we had a Rath Yatra festival several years ago, organized by Indradumna Maharaj in South Africa, in which it was arranged that there would be, among the many tents, a tent in which a Christian leader, a Muslim leader, and a Krishna conscious leader would have dialogue and respond to questions and so on. And it was interesting. This was sort of around the time of the Afghanistan war and all of those things. And the Christian was a real drip. He had nothing to say. And of course we had something Krishna conscious to present. And the Muslim fellows, there were two of them, were quite fired up. And their theme was we had to be more God conscious. And that the God conscious people should gather together, they should band together and oppose the demonic who they identified with the leaders of the world. It was quite interesting to see this convergence or correspondence with our own views. Yes, they saw a line between the godly people and the godless, and their plea was that the godly people should gather together and overthrow, essentially, or oppose these godless people. They were quite good, but only they got in trouble at one point because one of the leaders, not trouble, but things became awkward at one point when the speaker, just sort of giving an analogous example, said something about eating, and he made reference to non-vegetarian diet, which just in the course of things, because of course they're not vegetarians, and it didn't go over very well with the Hindu audience. So in one sense, this could point to a larger agenda that the Krishna consciousness movement should, or the members of the Krishna consciousness movement should persuade people of all religions that you stick to your religion, just chant the holy name of the Lord, and give up sinful activities. Give up sinful activities, gambling, intoxicants, meat eating, illicit sex. Let us stand on this united platform that these sinful activities should be given up, and there should be God consciousness and chanting of the holy name of the Lord. The designations of this religion or that religion need not be given so much importance, but this common platform should be recognized. giving up intoxicants, gambling, meat eating, illicit sex. They feel for Kali and chanting on the holy name of the Lord. So this is the description, I think, from Chaitanya Bhagavat. Following Lord Chaitanya's chanting, all the devotees reproduced the same sound he chanted. In this way, the Lord proceeded, leading the entire party on the strand roads by the bank of the Ganges. When the Lord came to his own ghat, or bathing place, he danced more and more. Then he proceeded to Madhai's ghat. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Lord, who was known as Vishambhar, danced all over the banks of the Ganges. Then he proceeded to Barakorna Ghat, then Nagariya Ghat, and, traveling through Ganga Nagara, reached Simulia, a quarter at one end of the town. All these places surround Sri Mayapur. After reaching Simulia, the Lord proceeded toward the Kaji's house, and in this way he reached the door of Chand Kaji. Udhata Loka Bhange Kajir Ghora Pushpavan Bishtari Varnila Iha Dasha Vrindavan. Naturally, some of the people who were very much agitated began to retaliate the Kaji's actions by wrecking his house and flower garden. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has elaborately described this incident. Tobe Mahaprabhu tar tuarete boshila bhavya loka pataiya Kajire Bolaila. Thereafter, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reached the Kaji's house, he sat down by the doorway and sent some respectable persons to call for the Kaji. Durahaite Aila Kaji Mata Noyaya Kajire Boshaila Prabhu Shamana Korea. When the Kaji came, his head bowed down, the Lord gave him proper respect and a seat. Purport. Some of the men in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's civil disobedience movement were agitated because they could not control their minds. But the Lord was thoroughly peaceful, sober, and unagitated. Therefore, when the Kaji came down to see him, the Lord offered him proper respect and a seat because he was a respectable government officer. Thus the Lord taught us by his personal behavior. In pushing on our Sankirtan movement of Krishna consciousness, we might have to face difficult days, but we should always follow in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and do the needful according to the time and circumstances. These are, one can just, in a word, in a way, anticipate that as our Sankirtan movement spreads, there'll be so many challenges, there'll be so many circumstances that we'll have to deal with. And here, Srila Prabhupada won't be there to say, well, you should do this, you should do that, as he did during his presence. But here there's a general instruction, follow in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and do the needful according to the time and the place and the circumstances. So that general instruction is there. And here we see that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was respectful to the Kaji. He was a government officer. Earlier we found that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when Sanatana Goswami was studying with the Brahmins and avoiding state service, the king came in and demanded to know what was going on. And when he came in, all the Brahmins stood up to offer him respect because he was the king. Someplace Prabhupada mentions that when someone has a respectable position, it should be taken that by the grace of Krishna he's got that post. So accordingly, respect should be offered. You can turn this down a few stops. Prabhu bolen, Ami tomar, ailamo, abhyagoto, Ami deke lukaila, e dharma kemoto. In a friendly way, the Lord said, "Sir, I've come to your house as your guest, but upon seeing me, you hid yourself in your room. What kind of etiquette is this? Not how you greet a guest." Kaji kohe, tumi aisha, kruta haiya, toma shanta koraite, rohinu lukaya. Kaji replied, "You've come to my house in a very angry mood. To pacify you, I did not come before you immediately, but kept myself hidden. Ebe tumi shanto hoile ashi mililan, agyamor toma hina atiti pailan." Now that you've become pacified, I've come to you. It is my good fortune to receive a guest like your honor. Of course, the Kaji was softened up by big crowds of people threatening him and so on. But, or he was fearful, in his own words, because of this tumultuous crowd. But when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came before him in a very respectful mood, and the Kaji came down to speak with him. Gram sambandhe chakraborti hoy mor chacha deha sambandhe hoy te hoy gram sambandha shancha. In our village relationship, Nilambara Chakrabarti Thakur was my uncle. Such a relationship is stronger than a bodily relationship. Purport: in India, even in the interior villages, all the Hindu and Muslim communities used to live very peacefully by establishing a relationship between them. The young men called the elderly members of the village by the name Chacha or Kaka, uncle, and men of the same age called each other Dada, brother. The relationship was very friendly. There were even invitations from Muslim houses to Hindu houses, and from Hindu houses to Muslim houses. Both the Hindus and the Muslims accepted the invitations to go to one another's houses to attend ceremonial functions. Even until 50 or 60 years ago, the relationship between Hindus and Muslims was very friendly, and there were no disturbances. We do not find any Hindu-Muslim riots in the history of India, even during the days of the Muslims' rule over the country. Conflict between Hindus and Muslims was created by polluted politicians, especially foreign rulers, and thus the situation gradually became so degraded that India was divided into Hindustan and Pakistan. Hindustan and Pakistan. Fortunately, the remedy to unite not only the Hindus and Muslims, but all communities and all nations can still be implemented by the Hare Krishna movement on the strong basic platform of love of Godhead. So there's a strong non-sectarian spirit in Srila Prabhupada's purport here, that everyone can be united on the basic platform of love of Godhead. Also, these Gramya Sambandha. In the village people, the relationships were there. These terms like uncle and brother, they're what sociologists call terms of pseudo-kinship. The person is not actually an uncle by blood relationship, but these terms are used to form or to recognize a relationship that extends beyond the genetic line. I know even in my childhood, we had some people who were referred to as uncle, auntie, but they were not related to us in a family relation. But the relationship was there in terms of the community. And still it's the custom in Indian culture to address seniors as auntie, uncle, even though they may not be related in terms of a bodily relationship. Nilambara Chakraborty hoy tomar nana she shambonde how tumi amara Bhagina. Nilambara Chakraborty is your maternal grandfather, and by this relationship you are thus my nephew. Bhaginar Krodha Mama Abosha Sohoy Matuler Aparad Bhagina Naloy. When a nephew is very angry, his maternal uncle is tolerant. And when the maternal uncle commits an offense, the nephew does not take it very seriously. So in this way, the Kaji is really pleading for peace. Why should there be this big scene? People tearing up my house, tearing up my garden, descending upon me. He's afraid. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes in a respectful mood, then the Kaji pleads that, wait a second, we have this relationship, so why should there be this sort of uprising? That's the idea. E mata duhar kata hoy tare tore bitarer arto keha pujite na pare. In this way, the Kaji and the Lord talked with each other with various indications, but no outsider could understand the inner meaning of their conversation. I think we can stop here, and next time we'll take up their conversation. And who wants to lead Kirtan here today?
We can lead.
Okay, you're on. Oh, and I should change this if it's not changed, so that we get the original music Mridanga. Grab a Mridanga out there.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Om Vishnuvad Punaman Suparivraj Charja Stotra Sri Srimati A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath, Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Tham Ki Jai, Navadip Tham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Jamana Mai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glory is to the assembled devotees. All glory is to the assembled devotees. All glory is to the assembled devotees. All glory is to closing the door and not making a cold, cold draft. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ki